In 1986, G.I. Joe aired an episode so psychologically disturbing that it became a cult phenomenon decades later. It's called There's No Place Like Springfield, and these are 13 facts about a children's cartoon that ventured into nightmare territory. Shipwreck wakes up in a peaceful, picture-perfect hometown with a loving family and everything he could want. But within moments, reality begins to unravel. Nothing is what it seems, and the world around him turns increasingly surreal and hostile. What made this episode unforgettable and deeply unsettling was its willingness to go places most kid shows wouldn't dare. Shipwreck watches his wife and friends literally melt before his eyes. The animation is deliberately disturbing. The episode traps him in a dreamlike reality where he can't trust anyone or anything around him. There are scenes of intense isolation, emotional breakdowns, and Cobra agents using invasive interrogation tactics to mess with his mind. But this is where it gets wild. The episode was written by Steve Gerber, the creator of Howard the Duck and known for surreal existential storytelling. His style made this feel more like The Outer Limits than G.I. Joe. They could have chosen any Joe for this episode. But why Shipwreck? He covers insecurity with jokes, making him the easiest character to push into psychological madness. Fans consistently describe this episode as traumatic. Online, people share how it disturbed them as children. Parents were shocked. This episode pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable for weekday morning cartoons. Now, the melting sequence almost never made it to air. Broadcast standards and practices fought hard against it. Early versions featured melting skin in grotesque detail, collapsing eyeballs, internal synthoid fluids spilling out. What aired was the toned-down version. Hasbro insisted that the original storyboard panel be removed. That's how dark it originally was. And it wasn't just the network pushing back. Several local stations refused to air it entirely, especially in the Midwest and Bible Belt. Complaints flooded in about nightmare imagery and psychological terror inappropriate for children. Some markets replaced it with Season 1 reruns instead. Later, during syndication cycles, the melting sequences were occasionally dropped or trimmed. The episode was frequently skipped entirely. In some markets, Part 2 aired without Part 1. This fragmented re-airing, creating false memories and urban legends, which is why many adults remember the melting scene vividly but can't recall the actual plot. Here's what made this episode truly revolutionary. It's the only G.I. Joe episode where Cobra actually wins for most of the runtime. Shipwreck is kidnapped, brainwashed, emotionally broken, and nearly executed. Cobra Commander's plan actually succeeds. Only in the final moments do the Joes pull him out. The synthoid town weaponizes real psychological manipulation. Isolation from reality, fake relationships designed to create false security, reality contradictions that destabilize perception, emotional bonding followed by a sudden withdrawal. This accuracy, treating mind control with genuine psychological sophistication, is why viewers felt genuinely unsettled. And get this, it was a writer's pet project, not a toy commercial. Hasbro wasn't focused on selling Shipwreck figures at that time. So the writers had rare freedom to create a pure story episode without commercial constraints. Even the animation errors added unintentional horror. Faces warped off models in disturbing ways, eyes vanished before mouths stopped moving, bodies deformed in anatomically impossible directions. Those mistakes actually intensified the body horror. It was also the first One Joe two-parter. Most team episodes had ensemble plots, but this one dedicated an entire two-parter to a single character's mental collapse. For a syndicated weekday cartoon, that was radical. The fan base has developed theories that never die. Did Shipwreck ever fully recover? Fans believe that he developed severe PTSD after this experience. His memories afterwards are unreliable. Even the official G.I. Joe comic hints that Shipwreck was never quite the same. Fan polls consistently rank this as the most traumatizing episode in the franchise history. More memorable than the deaths in Transformers the movie. Across Reddit, G.I. Joe forums, and YouTube, it's a consensus. Beyond the obvious reference to The Wizard of Oz, there are parallels to a 1960s psychological TV thriller called The Prisoner, a story about a man who wakes up in a mysterious village who is subjected to mind-bending experiments and there is no escape. Steve Gerber wasn't just making a dark episode. He was paying homage to one of the greatest psychological thrillers ever made. It redefined how people remember G.I. Joe, not just as an action cartoon, but something willing to explore the psychological and the unsettling. These 13 facts barely scratch the surface of There's No Place Like Springfield. Be sure to comment and tell your story. Did it freak you out as much as it freaked me out? Drop a comment. If you haven't seen it for a while, or if you just want to check it out again, I have both episodes on my channel. And if you want more deep dives into the lessons, both intentional and accidental, from 70s, 80s, and 90s cartoons, please subscribe, because I'm always exploring what these shows taught us, whether they meant to or not. Thank you for watching.